Okay. Okay, shows. Ah. Buongiorno a tutti. I should start in order to continue with the timing. Grazie mille for joining us this morning. I am Raul Vallecillo from Vitro Biotech, and I will introduce you conscious well-being in challenging times. Nowadays, consumers in this 2020 are more and more educated and critical, and they check in details not only the ingredients of the formulations, but therefore these formulations, how natural or what's the grade of naturality and sustainability they have, plus the brand's ethic values like transparency, etc., etc. And of course, they are more and more looking for this list of logos. I chose some of them on bio, organic, natural, vegan, cruelty-free, etc., etc. But this year brought also extra challenges and extra stress from what I will not pronounce the name, but you know what I'm talking about. I'll simply say that's the virus which must not be named. Going back to the challenges of fulfilling the consumer's expectation, what we would be looking for conscious well-being would be conscious active ingredients that can allow to claim GMO-free, VOC, BSE-free, etc., coming also from natural and sustainable technology, and also produced in a conscious way. Us at Vitrus, we have the GMP certification, but not only that, we try to achieve the 100% natural index origin, or as close as we can get to that. And furthermore, we go deeper into the social, corporate social responsibility now with our silver rating of EcoVadis. Plus our technology, I will say a few words about it in the next slide, also allows to save 99% of the arable soil and 99.98% of the water, plus at the same time preserving the biodiversity and minimizing the impact on the environment, or even allowing for a positive impact in the nature. Our biotechnology at Vitrus Biotech is based on plant stem cells technology, to which we modulate the metabolism of those plant stem cell cultures to make them either produce controlled stress response molecules to protect the skin, or we can also modulate their metabolism to stimulate the growth factor production, or even to increase the production of certain signaling lipids, which not only are part of the cell membranes, but also allow for signaling inside the cell, and of course will activate specific pathways that can be of interest. So to sum up the basic needs, or also based on the trends, we are now looking for more well-aging claim rather than anti-aging, more emotional beauty, microbiome respectful, and of course, skin and environment respectful. These would be 4 ideas which fit into the current market trends. Can we also cosmetically make our skin feel good, and in a conscious and trendy way? That's one of the questions that we ask ourselves. And we have seen that our skin can produce neurotransmitters that to some extent can modulate our state of mind, and vice versa. our state of mind can modify how we look like and how we are perceived externally. Everybody knows that if you feel good, you look good. So by feel good and look good idea, we try to work in the concept to develop our active ingredient. One of the neurotransmitters involved in this, let's say, brain-skin connection is oxytocin, which from various stimuli, but you can see in this picture, just by loving touch, that's a mother kissing the baby child, you can see that certain brain pleasure areas are activated immediately through this oxytocin by the simple touch. So because the skin is so directly connected to the brain, and the lovely touch can activate certain well-being areas, we try to act in this pathway, in a natural pathway that we have in our skin. But that goes beyond that. This is the recreation of how oxytocin would activate those brain pleasure areas in a very short video demo. But now, also in our skin, we have microbiota, we have microbiome that we now know that depending on the state of this microbiome, the skin can react to this and transmit this message to the brain. How is this possible? If the microbiota is stressed, then they can produce an in situ postbiotic that transmits a negative sensation to the skin, and the skin transmits a negative message to the brain. But if we can relax the skin microbiota, make it happier in a way, the in situ postbiotic will be beneficial and healing, and the message will be to the skin, I feel better, and of course, this will transmit ultimately to the brain. That's what cannabiescence, the ingredient I'm going to present in a very summarized way in the following minutes, is able to do. We can modulate the skin microbiota, so it will produce a healing postbiotic on the skin that transmits this positive message, and at the end, the skin will look healthier and prettier. And also this active allows us to address the emotional beauty and microbiome trends, plus the sustainability that's coming from this technology. So I'm going to quickly summarize the innovation that we are bringing with this ingredient, which was recognized with a Gold Best Ingredient Award in the past In Cosmetics Virtual Edition. For the product, we started from cannabis stem cells, and we can modulate them. So instead of producing the famous and potentially controversial cannabinoids, THC, the most controversial, CBD can be controversial or potentially controversial in certain countries. Instead of that, we can modulate their metabolism so they will produce short-chain fatty acids, polyphenols, and terpenes. All these three elements together are able to positively modulate this microbiota behavior that then will influence on the skin cells and transmit this well-being sensation. In vitro, we have demonstrated, this is a data that I don't have the time to show you in detail, but we have demonstrated that cannabiescents can positively modulate these bacteria, so their postbiotic has a positive influence indirectly, first to the keratinocytes, increasing their production of oxytocin, and also this oxytocin from keratinocytes together probably with other molecules in the postbiotic coming from the keratinocytes can also further activate the oxytocin production of the sensory neurons that we have in the skin. And also we have seen that this indirect axis from product to microbiota, to the skin, to the brain, also amplifies the signal as long as it's going through the different cell communications. Then finally, we have some data that I would like to show from the in vivo test. We have some parameters at 1%, some parameters at 2%. That's the two in vivos that we performed with this ingredient. And you can see that at 1% on 20 volunteers, we could see that there is a first interesting modulating effect on rebalancing the skin microbiota by increasing the Staphylococcus epidermidis, the good bacteria in most of the skin conditions, and reducing moderately the Cutibacterium magnes, which is another very abundant bacteria on the skin, and that sometimes can become harmful, like, for example, in the acne case. Then we also analyzed the reduction of the wrinkles, again at 1%, but here with 30 volunteers. We can see here some images before and after on the mouth corner lines, but we could see also significant reduction of the area and the length on average on the mouth corner lines and on the frown lines. These lines are very much related to the emotions. With our facial expressions, we are constantly pushing those type of wrinkles, and this product is able also to relax significantly those lines. Finally, we performed another test, in this case at 2% on 20 volunteers, to check the by functional magnetic resonance image from the topical application if we could see brain pleasure areas that could be activated from this application of a cream with 2% of cannabis essence versus placebo. The software can analyze many regions, gives us not only a code of color for the intensity of the activation, but also can generate 3D models showing where are those areas, if they correspond to brain pleasure areas, and how they interconnect. And we could analyze this from a topical application, again, I repeat, and we could see that from the first application of cannabis essence 10 minutes after, that's more or less the time it takes from the application to analyze, to get the acquisition of the magnetic resonance and analyze the data, it was, versus placebo, very significantly increasing brain pleasure areas that are known to be mediated by oxytocin. And this tendency continued after 28 days by daily application, again, versus placebo. And even when the areas, the specific areas were changing, all of those areas that had been activated correspond to areas activated by oxytocin. But we also wanted to double check this oxytocin relation with our product. And here you can see that one person eating chocolate, also known to activate oxytocin, gives us a pattern of areas activated that is very similar to that of cannabis essence by topical application. So this way we are able to verify that this is oxytocin-like. So to sum up, the product activates the brain pleasure areas, stimulates by stimulating positively the skin microbiota, induces a better self-perception and positive emotional parameters. That's also data that I couldn't show here, but we also have it if you would like to know more. And of course, also has a well-aging effect by physiological parameters that we measured on the wrinkles, but also by increasing the hydration and the skin radiance. Some examples of innovative formulations that we could consider with this ingredient: restoring night creams, uplifting massage lotions, complement to aromatherapy, And of course, in general, we are very much in the natural and emotional well-being. So Cannabia Sense makes possible to have a cosmetics that make you feel good, and if you feel good, you will look better. Some take-home messages. With this ingredient, we're able to have a cannabis-derived products without cannabinoids. We are targeting the well-aging, the emotional well-aging, the respectful, being respectful with the skin microbiome, and of course, from our technology, is produced sustainably. So we can really get through these challenging times consciously. Here, I'm going back to the extra stress that we have now, with what is representing the Order of the Phoenix is the real fight from the health service and the medicine to get the vaccine, plus our extra little contribution from Vitrus Biotech to try to give you a product that makes people feel better in these especially challenging times, and of course, ultimately looking better. Grazie mille per la sua attenzione. If you have any questions, we are represented in Italy by Variati. Both the team of Variati and myself are going to be online in the stand during the rest of the day today, and of course tomorrow. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, we are going to be happy to reply.